Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to the first ever episode of Forge and Freedom Into the Fire. I'm your host, Zach Monroe, and I am pumped you're here. This is another one of your boring self help podcasts. Nothing against the self help podcast community. There's some great advice. I've used a lot of it in different aspects of my life, and it's really helped me. I built this podcast and this company to really change that perspective and build a movement. Forge and Freedom, we're about real talk, real growth, and real brotherhood. Here's the deal. Forge and Freedom is for men who want to get better, both in life, in mindset, and strength, and especially in the relationships with the people who matter. The Forge part, it's about doing the work, sweating, failing, learning, and leveling up. Dusting yourself off when things aren't always great, and picking yourself back up. Freedom part, it's what happens when you take control of your life, start living on your very own terms, especially with some solid brothers along for the ride. Been asked this question a lot lately. What's the mission? And I just say simple. Forge of Freedom is about helping men grow, connect, and really crush life while building a brotherhood that actually matters. None of the fake stuff, just honest conversations, real stories, especially a little tough love when it's needed. Excited to talk about the show, what you're going to get, and some of the exciting guests to bring on. You're going to get stories from men who've been in the trenches and figured stuff out, and some guys who are still figuring stuff out as they go. Tips and hacks for building strength, confidence, and emotional resilience, and especially some strong conversations about brotherhood, accountability, and how to show up for the men around you, because we know none of us are winning solo at this. I want this to be fun too, right? Life's serious enough already, but we don't always have to make it so serious. So I would definitely expect a lot of laughs, some oh shit really moments, and a lot of straight talk about what it takes to be a man today. We're going to bring in guys from all walks of life. I'm talking business, sports, outdoor adventure, whatever it is. These are guys who've done the hard work and, they're living free today. Sometimes it'll just be me sharing lessons that I've learned the hard way. And yes, there's definitely going to be some embarrassing moments too. So if you're ready to start forging for yourself, building your own freedom, and connecting with some solid brothers, I think you found yourself in the right place. Before we dive in, hit us up on all the social platforms: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, at Forge and Freedom. Get all your updates there. We also just launched our website, forgeandfreedom.com. That's Forge, letter N, freedom.com. And don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. I encourage you, please jump in on the conversation. Bring your story, bring your questions, also bring your wins and your fails, because the reality is that we're building this together. All right, enough talking. Let's kick things off by sharing why Forge and Freedom even exists, why I started this, and why I think every man can level up and live free, especially with some good brothers by his side. All right, so let's go ahead, dive right into it, and start with the question that everybody asks: why the name Forge and Freedom? And here's the quick backstory. For years, I felt like I was checking boxes. I had a wonderful career. I spent the last decade working in nonprofit leadership. I've committed myself to social impact and change. I've been a part of instrumental success stories and in helping, people and youth grow and develop. I have a beautiful family. I've got a wife and two kids. We love being outdoors. We love camping. We love adventure and travel. And we put a lot of time and energy into that. And then I've also been heavily involved in my community, trying to give back where I can, being involved in making, where I live a better place for people to want to live and hopefully maybe move to as well. But the reality was this. Inside, I was still restless. I was struggling to find, what is my purpose? And, I faced some challenges along the way too. I'd wake up, I'd hit the gym, or I'd go for an early morning walk. I'd be in these meetings, I hit deadlines, but I was asking myself, where is my crew? Where was that tribe of guys who push each other to grow, who call out the BS, but can still crack a cold one when all the work's been done? It really wasn't until after an early morning long hike in the Adirondacks chasing the sunrise where it hit me. Steel only gets strong when it's forged in heat and then hammered into shape. That's us, right? Men aren't meant to coast, we're meant to forge. In real freedom, That's really when you've done the work and you're living on your own terms. So that hike really became the spark, and it's where Forge and Freedom was born. Really out of the simple idea to help men sharpen themselves and build a brotherhood worth belonging to. The mission for Forge and Freedom, it's more than just a brand, it's more than just a podcast. It's built around these three core values, right? First one being brotherhood, a real network of men who show up for each other. There's no ego, no fake bravado, just guys who've got your back. Second one is growth, whether it be in fitness, whether it be in mindset, leadership, faith, business, fatherhood, whatever you need to level up, that's what we're going to tackle. And then the last one, and my favorite one, is adventure. Because the reality is that nothing bonds men together like dirt under their boots and a story to tell around a campfire later. This isn't me preaching from a mountaintop. I'm in the forge right here with you. I'll share my wins, my screw ups, and I'll bring in other men who've walked their own path. I'm excited to share what's coming. Another piece of this business is our trips and our challenges. We recently launched our first Brotherhood Breakthrough Weekend that's coming up November 7th to the 9th of 2025. We have reserved an awesome lodge up in the Adirondack Mountains. We have a 2-night, 3-day full itinerary with hiking challenges, with teamwork, with growth, with building brotherhood. And, you can't forget, what brings people together is really good food. So that's coming up. You can check out all the information on our website, forgeoffreedom.com. And then we're working on the details for our second trip for the winter. We're looking at a Brotherhood winter weekend, again up in the Adirondacks. Some of the details you expect on that. Another great lodge somewhere within proximity of Whiteface Mountain. We're going to provide you again with your lodging, all your meals, your lift tickets to Whiteface. If you're listening and you're like, man, that sounds awesome, but I've never, hopped on a snowboard or skied before, that's fine because we're going to set you up with everything that you need for your equipment rental packages or private lessons, whatever you want. Your brother's got your back, and that's what we're here for. So keep an eye out for all those upcoming trips. And feel free to reach out if you have any questions. And here's the deal. Every trip is designed to push us a little more, both physically, mentally, but also give us the space to talk about stuff that actually matters. What you can expect here in the podcast, each week you're going to get conversations with guys who've really forged themselves, whether as athletes, entrepreneurs, dads, and just everyday guys who refuse to coast. And you're probably going to get some solo episodes where I break down lessons from the trail, my own personal fitness and journey, and then, especially when situations where life, when it punches you in the gut. You're going to get a few laughs, a few challenges, and hopefully a few, oh man, I really needed to hear that today type moments. So that's the story. That's the vision of Forge and Freedom. If you're a man who wants more than surface level friendships and checkbox living, you've found yourself in the right place. So don't forget to hit subscribe, follow Forge and Freedom on Instagram, Facebook, or wherever you hang out, and keep an eye out for the trip signups that are dropping soon. All right, that's a wrap for episode one. Hopefully, I didn't sound too much like an idiot. If this resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and send it to a brother who could really use a kick in the pants today. Remember, life's about forging yourself, living free, and building a brotherhood that actually matters. Keep pushing, keep laughing, keep showing up. I'll catch you on the next episode.